It's time for Mr. Fundamental!
Presented by no one.
Not many expected the Sacramento Kings to compete for a playoff spot last year, and there's no doubt that the Kings are planning to build on that success. They added multiple veterans to help with their young team, but their most notable addition was their new head coach, Luke Walton. And that pairing is a match made in heaven. As long as Walton can stop swearing at Ariza, they'll be good. Walton preaches the run and gun style during his days with LA and Golden State, so his team would constantly push the ball up the court for easy transition buckets. After the steal, all four Lakers run the floor, leading to a 4-for-2 and an easy basket. Even off of a made basket, Walton had his team push the ball. A near full court pass by Lonzo leads to another score. It also helped to have LeBron on the team last season. But what you might have missed out is that Kuzma already leaked out and was ready for a kick out and a corner three. But they struggled a lot with turnovers like these as well. In contrast, the Kings were very good at taking care of the ball and had a very interesting fast break system last season. And it complies with their owner, Vivek Ranadive's suggestion of playing 4-on-5 defense. There was a nice article breaking down their fast break system. The link's in the description, but I'll give a brief overview here. The Kings' focus was to create 3-on-2 situations on the break, so the player furthest to the ball will leak out. In this case, it'll be Buddy Hield. The second player furthest from the ball, who's not getting the rebound or receiving the ball, which is Shumpert, will sprint down with the goal of beating his man down the floor. With a speed demon like De'Aaron Fox, the Kings create a 3-on-2 fast break. There's no doubt that Walton will still have the Kings push the pace, but there will be some minor tweaks based on his track record. The Kings' fast break strategy did leave them susceptible to offensive rebounds. Walton's team have been one of the league's top defensive rebounding team in the past few years, so his emphasis for defense would call for his players to crash the boards and finish off defensive possessions. Which brings us to the next point. The Kings had a jump in their defensive rating last season, but it was still below average. They struggled in most play types, and it's not surprising that they're poor in defending putbacks because of their transition strategy. The Kings also had a more aggressive approach defensively, which forced the second most turnovers in the league. With Justin Jackson on Wiggins, both Giles and Labissiere already helped off their man. Labissiere gets out of position and allows a putback by Gibson. Even with Cauley Stein on Cat, the double comes and the help defense aggressively rotates. Fox was late, but they luck out when Covington couldn't finish the layup. Based on Walton's stint with the Lakers, he had a more conservative approach that revolved around positioning. KCP anticipated the down screens and stayed glued to Booker. McGee realizes the cut, so he sags off his man. LeBron recognizes that Jackson will receive the pin down, so he blows it up. During the back screen, KCP tags Ayton, allowing McGee some time to recover. Every player are in good defensive position, and LeBron gets the steal when rotating down, because a pass to his man is further than a pass to Bridges. On this play, look at how every Laker had their eyes on the ball. Ingram initially positioned himself to help on the pick and roll. He only went for the steal when the pass was made. This was already evident in their first preseason game. Barnes tags the roll man, recovers, and only goes for the steal once the ball left the passer's hand. Every defender puts in the effort to get around the screens. And although Lamb makes the shot, I'm sure the Kings would prefer a contested pull-up mid-range than a layup or three. The Kings' steals and opponent turnovers might drop, but they should be a better defensive team next season. Unfortunately, forcing less turnovers could reduce their transition frequency, which possibly means more half-court offense. Walton has been criticized for his poor offensive game plan, which is understandable considering how often his sets only have one action. LeBron brings the ball up, Lonzo screens for him, then gets a flare screen of his own. The team just wasn't on the same page, since it took them 10 seconds before getting into a double screen action for Kuzma. There's no space for LeBron to drive, and he turns it over. After a screen for Rondo, flare screen for KCP, and then another screen for Rondo, the defense got what they wanted, a Rondo brick. I'm not sure if you noticed, LeBron was actually on the floor. To make things worse, this was the second straight possession that he haven't even touched the ball. It's still up in the air whether Walton can improve that next season, but there are encouraging signs where the Kings and Walton can help each other. The Kings had more movement in their half-court offense, but their tendency to initiate sets at the elbow leads to tough mid-range shots like these. It was the same for pick and rolls as well. Cauley-Stein sets another screen for Fox, who could either take the mid-range J himself or hit Cauley-Stein for a jumper of his own. There's nothing wrong with initiating sets at the elbow if you have a scoring threat there, but more often than not, it would lead to mid-range shots, and the stats back that up. The Kings were 9th in shot attempts between 16 to 24 feet, and 7th in pull-up jumpers attempted in that area as well. They were 4th in the league in 3-point percentage last season, but were only 20th in attempts. For a team that shoots so well from behind the arc, they took an awful lot of mid-range jumpers. This is where Luke Walton comes in. His pace and space system will definitely up their 3-point attempts. In turn, the Kings' shooting proficiency would help Walton's sets. With Buddy Hield coming off these pin downs, he's going to hit these at a higher rate than Josh Hart. Slotting in Hield again, his gravity would allow their bigs to slip the screen and a dunk. With Dedmon on board, this Cauley-Stein jumper would turn into a 3-ball. If the first action gets defended well, the Lakers turn to pick and rolls, and it wasn't pretty. Besides LeBron, Caruso was the only one above average in pick and roll ball handler percentile, with 2 possessions a game. While the Kings roster were only marginally better, Fox, Hield, and Bogdanovic passes the eye test as the ball handler. A quick change of speed here gets him right to the rim for the dunk. If the defense loads up on his drive, he can find the open man for a 3. He's also not afraid to let it fly coming off the screen, and this time just drains the 3. Speaking of letting it fly, Hield is no stranger to taking jumpers off the dribble. A quick drag screen gets him enough daylight for the 3. In contrast, Bogdanovic takes what the defense gives him, this time pulling up for the mid-range J. On this possession, he leverages his ability to make shots off the dribble and makes a nice pass to Holmes for the bucket. So if the offense becomes stagnant, this trio can bail them out. Another way the Kings roster helps Walton is how willing they are to move the ball and move without the ball. In semi-transition, Hield relocates to the strong side corner behind the defense, and there's a wide open 3. Firstly, McLemore cuts to the strong side. When his man digs down on the pocket pass, he'll cut into the paint and present himself as a scoring option. Mason also had the same idea, but didn't want to clog the paint, so he turns it into a back screen and Jackson relocates. Although these movements didn't directly lead to the bucket, it did provide Giles with multiple options. Now compare that to plays like these. Rondo holds onto the ball for almost the whole possession. The only movement was Hart and LeBron switching places. This lack of movement allows the defense to key in on the pick and roll, making it harder to score. But all this could be a result of having Rondo and LeBron on the team, but they won't be playing for Walton next season. Walton is by no means a perfect coach, and the Kings still have room to improve, but both of them can cover for each other's weaknesses. Walton's poor offensive game plan can be attributed to personnel, but to be a good coach, he should be able to tailor his game plan around his roster's strengths. This won't be a problem anymore since the Kings roster perfectly fits with the system. Under his supervision, the Kings should see a jump in their defensive rating and threes next season. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a like down below, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.